Swiss Moist Dilani Python Dinada Sana. You're welcome to this session. In this session, we are going to cover how you can implement simple login, simple register, and simple logout in Python Flask. So this is actually going to be one of the shortest video because we have only 93 codes offline in the backend. So fire up your mind, get a cup of coffee, and get ready for this an amazing tutorial. If it's the first time for you to watch out my channel, do not forget to subscribe so as you can be timely updated once we upload a new video. So keep on watching and let's go. So before we proceed, let's check out the demo. This is actually a bigger picture you should have in the background of your subconscious mind. This is what you will achieve at the end of this tutorial. So here we have login, we have register, and we have logout functionality. So it's a good practice to start testing the register functionality before logging in. So we'll actually click on register, and I'll actually say my first name. So you can use a normal first name, I mean the username you have chosen, but also you can use your email. Okay, so I can say my username is Moses, and I'll actually say my password is Moses. So once I submit, you can see you have successfully registered. Please log in, and if you check here on URL is a login path. What this actually means that when a user has successfully registered, he will actually be automatically redirected to the login page, but with a message that he or she has successfully registered. Okay, so here we are actually going to test login. So I'm going to put the username as Moses. Okay, first of all, let me say username is Moses, right? And the password is Moses. So when I click login, this is perfect. You can see I'm being redirected to the main path of a web application. Okay, but here we can actually test the functionality of logging out. So once I click here log out, you can see I am automatically logged out. Okay, let us test another something. Okay, so let me say let's put the correct username, which is Moses, and let's try out to put the wrong password. Let me say 111111. Okay, so when I click submit, you can see email or password is wrong. We can actually put a custom message here like username or email is wrong. Okay, but what if I put the username the user who does not exist? Let me say admin. Okay, and I click here, boom, you can see email does not exist, please register. This is actually like how WordPress works. Okay, but I'll actually not recommend putting this because I'm actually considering the aspect or the general concept of DevSecOps. Okay, DevSecOps, which means that when we actually doing this development stuff, we must have a picture of security. We must have a picture of cybersecurity concept in the background of our subconscious. So if you put a message like this, it will actually allows username enumeration or username brute forcing, right? So it's actually not a good message, but you can actually customize it, but or you can actually put it like wrong username and password. So this is actually what you should expect at the end of this tutorial. It's a perfect demo, and I'll actually put the source code of this project in my GitHub link, and make sure you visit below the video description to get the link and download the source code. So let's go. So here we begin. Right, so the first thing we are going to do here is to create a project folder. As you know that when you're doing Flask is everything you write from the scratch, right? So let us create a folder, give it a name as Flask. Okay, we can say Flask authentication. We are going to use VS Code as our coding editor, so you can right click and open it with a VS Code. Right, that's perfect. So the first thing we are actually going to do here is to make sure that we create Python visual environment where we'll actually install all packages. Just to remind you that Python visual environment avoid the conflicting of packages when you have the two or more than project using the different packages or similar packages or different versions. Okay, the same version but different, the same package but a different version. Okay, so we are going to open up a terminal here on VS Code. Right, that's clear. So we are going to create a Python virtual environment, and the command is very easy. Okay, I am very sure you are aware of this command because I've actually been used visual environment in my recent project. Okay, so we have some couple of packages to install for our project. For this case, I'll come here. Okay, let us come here. So this is the source code. I'll actually push them to my GitHub repo. So this requirements contains the packages, project package dependence. Okay, all right, that's clear. So when we open this, you can see we have these packages, and these are the packages we actually need to install them for us to carry on. So to install the packages from this file, we needed to pip install recursive from this. Okay, perfect. We press enter. Okay, before we install packages, I was actually forgotten if I thought that my computer is actually connected to the Wi-Fi hotspot. Okay, so let me turn on my Wi-Fi access point. Then after, let me connect it to my iPhone access point so as we can install packages. That's perfect. My computer is already connected to the internet. Now we can install packages. Okay. Whew. What have I done? Oh, this is actually a mistake. We actually needed to activate the visual environment before we install packages. And if you want to activate your visual environment in Python, in Windows actually, okay, this is actually a command. Okay, so after activating the visual environment is when we need to install packages. That's perfect. Once these packages has been successfully installed, I'll turn off my Wi-Fi access point and everything will be offline, right? That's perfect. So the computer is now disconnected from the internet. In Flask, as I told you that you need to write everything from the scratch, right? So let us create okay, let us create app py. Okay, so this will actually be our main project file. Okay, and I'll actually show you here on how you can create a simple Flask application which looks like Hello World. Okay, so what we can actually do here, we need to import packages. Okay, this. So we have imported the necessary, okay, we require for our project. So we needed to start, or we needed to initiate our application. So this specifies that our Flask web application will be using a SQLite database. So let us create a simple route. Okay, as I've told you that it is actually going to be like hello world. Okay, because this is actually the first program for every developer when you are new in that specific programming language. Okay, so this is actually a simple route which is the main path of our web application, or the root path of our web application, and these are the actual we can comment this. Okay, so this will initiate our Flask web application on port 880 at our local host. So to start I mean, Flask web application is much better simple. You just need something like this. Okay, and once you come here at this, okay, so when you come here, I'm very sure that you will see something like this. So this is perfect. So this a quick way to start your Flask web application. So mainly Flask web application contain it actually have a folder which is a folder templates. This folder is specifically for storing all templates, I mean HTML templates. So we need to create this folder templates. So inside the templates here we can create index.html, and once we create this file, you will actually be no longer to see the error displayed here. Okay, hello world. This is perfect. So when we get back here on our browser and refresh here, you can see hello world. So Flask is very simple, though you actually need to write everything from the scratch. Okay, this is perfect. So we have actually covered how you can create visual environment for your Flask web application, how you can install packages in activated visual environment, and how you can create a quick web page for by using Flask. Okay, so the next thing, we are going back in this, our main file of our project. We are actually going to design a model, or we can say a table user, which will actually be specifically for installing user information who are logging in and who are registering. Okay, and as the name states, the table will be table user. Okay, so let us create this table. Okay, table user. Okay, we can say so this is actual a table or model user. Okay, it has 3 columns. It has ID, which is a primary key, which is uniquely differentiating among the users in the table. We have column username and we have column password. Okay, that's perfect. So after that, what we actually needed to do here, we needed to write something below here, and we will actually see okay, this is perfect. You can see instance, this folder, it will actually be created. Okay, this inside this folder there will be there will be a file test.db which will be our database. Okay, So let us uncomment this line, and we need to add another line here. Okay, this db.createAll will create tables inside our database. Okay, as I told you that you will actually see a file here inside this folder. This is perfect. You can see there is a test.db, which is our, this is our SQLite database file. So I'm very sure that you have this DB browser for SQLite installed in your computer. If not, try out to install it. Okay. So we are actually going to open up the database to see how it looks like. Okay. Let us move to our project folder, and this is Flask auth, then instance. Click on this file, then after open, you can see here we have table, only one table, which is table user, and it has 3 columns as identified in class user, okay, which is our model. It has ID, username, and password. So we have actually done a much great job. So after this, after creating this database, okay, what we actually need to do here is to implement user registration and see how these data are being written in this test.db, which is a SQLite database. Okay, but before we proceed, we need to import generate a password hash, because it's a recommended, and it is a best way for secure development to install, to store the packages in encrypted format. Speaking of security, you actually need to secure your data when in trust and at rest. Okay, and the common and the best method to achieve this, how you can secure your data in trust and at rest is encryption. Okay, so let us import something here so as we can be able to hash our password. Okay, because we know there are online attackers. So when you put your password in plain text, any hacker once has attacked successfully your database, it will actually be very easy for him to authenticate as user as user A, as user B, as user C, D up to Z. Okay. So we have imported this function for hashing our password. Okay, the one will be, the one will be used to during the registration, and the other will be used during user logging in. Okay, so here what we can actually do here, we can copy this and we can paste it here. I am very sure that you are able to view. Okay, I think my font size is perfect. Okay, so what we need to do here is to create a function register, which will be specifically for registering users. Okay, so here we go. So the route will be register. So our function or our view is actually identified by the name register. It supports get and post method. So if the method used to submit a form is post, we actually need to correct the username and the password, else we need to render. Okay, we need to actually render the user registration empty, the user registration HTML page. Okay, Before we proceed, I'll actually not write this HTML template from the scratch. Excuse me if it's not okay for you, but I'll actually explain everything clear for you so as you can understand what does everything mean in this HTML, okay? So I'll move here. As I told you that I'll put the source code in my GitHub account so as you guys can get this source code and go together with me without lagging behind. So what I'll actually do here, I'll copy this base.html, then I'll copy register, okay? Then get back here, I'll paste them inside the templates. This is perfect, right? So we can actually get before I explain for you what does everything mean in this HTML template. Let us learn our application and see how does this register looks like. No worry, this is actually how it looks like, okay? Then I'll get back on the templates here, okay? I'll actually start by explaining what does base mean and why do we normally use this base, okay? What actually base does is that we actually let me give you a simple explanation for you or a simple example so as you can clearly understand. Let me say that you have a footer, okay? Navigation footer, navigation bar, and a footer. So the navigation bar and the footer are usually remaining constant on most of your web application pages, okay? So what you can do here in base, you can put your footer and you can put your navigation bar, or you can put something which is very common. Then after, at the middle of your base application, you'll put it will actually inherit the block, okay? So here, let me say if we say log in, okay? Let me say if you in simple, let me put this in a simple explanation. User registration page and the user login page will normally have a footer and a navigation bar, okay? Both of them. So what you can do here, you can put footer and the navigation bar in base.html. Then after, when you create register or registration or login, you'll actually we call it template inheritance. Okay, I'll actually tell you what does it mean. But here we keep a space so as when you come here, okay, I'll explain for you. So what we have done here in this base.html, here this is actually how to link your Flask web application with a static page. This is a simple command, okay? You start with put double curly brackets URL4 and make sure this URL4 is imported in in your app. As you can see here, there is URL4. So here URL4, this static this is actually the name of folder, and we actually need to create this folder static, which will actually be responsible for storing static file. So we can say static. Okay, I think something is wrong. I have created static inside of templates. Okay, it's perfect. Let's delete it. So what we actually need to do here, okay, so let us create a static, and inside the static we'll have JS and a CSS, okay? So the one JS will be special for, storing the offline link of our JavaScript, and the CSS will be responsible for, will be used for storing Bootstrap offline link. So we can come here. I'm interested if we could do something like this. Okay, guys. So what we can do here is okay. Once we go here in Flask login inside the static, okay, we can open. You can see here we have two files. Okay, we have bootstrap.min.css and style.css. I'll copy both of them, then paste in folder static css we have created. Did we create css? What's happening? Unfortunately, we created the css inside. Sure, it's supposed to be created here. Okay, that's perfect. So let us paste this content in css. Okay, one is offline link for Bootstrap, and the other is for actual styling our web page, like putting the background color and so on, the margin top and the margin button of our user registration form. Okay, this is perfect, and once I refresh here, you will actually see some changes. That's perfect. This is actually how you can link your page with your Flask web application with static files, which are images, JS file, CS file, and so on, right? So we can finalize dealing with static files by copying JS. Okay, so here we have bootstrap.min.js and the jquel.min.js. As I've told you that the first one is for jquel offline linking, and this is for Bootstrap. Okay, Bootstrap.js. This is perfect. So before we proceed, I'll actually be interested to open styles.css for you. Okay, so this is actual styling. Okay, you can see this is ID, login, body. Okay, and once we open register, okay, once we open register here, you can see this div is actually specified by login body. Okay, as I told you that we are actually using template indexing. That's why the register will extend, okay, the content of base. Okay, because it is like a chart, the content of this will be pressed here. Okay, that's perfect. If you actually need more clarification, you actually need to read about template inheritance in Flask. I hope that will be clear. So this is actual our user registration. Okay, so this is actually before user submit a page. But if I try out to submit, okay, once I try to submit, you can see nothing is happening, because what is actually be done here is just correcting username and the password. But if I do something like this, if we try out to display name, one thing more before I proceed, okay, make sure you are very careful with the form. Okay, let me open up this form and explain for you. So the form begins here, somewhere here. So this is a form. Okay, the action is on register, the method is post. Okay, here you can see the name is username and the name is password. Okay, that's perfect. This type of password input is password, and this type of username is text. That's perfect. And we have actually we have submit button here. You can see it has the name of submit, value of submit, and the type is submit. Underneath of our form, we have login, which is actual link for user login page. I hope that's clear. So here below is this is actually how to deal with flash messages. Okay, I'll actually show you, I'll actually explain for you when we get at this point. But sometimes when we redirect a user, like once a user has successfully registered, we redirect a user to a login page with a message by using Flash. Okay, like you have successfully registered, now you need to log in. So this is where, I mean, Flash comes into a picture with method, with messages. Get flash the message. Okay, the message with Flash should be displayed below user registration form. Okay, that's perfect. So we actually needed to I told you that let's try out to submit the form, and I am very sure that we'll see the name here. Okay, so for debugging purpose here, I can say username with a capital letter so as it can be easily visible. Okay, let us run our Flask web application, and let's say Motec is the first is username. uh, okay, when you click submit here, I'm very sure you can see Motec. Okay, so that's clear. So the next thing is the best practice for a before you register a user, make sure you check if a user exists in your database. Unless otherwise, you will have some duplicates. Okay, duplicate users. By the way, we actually specified the username as unique here. Okay, username as unique. So when you try out to register before checking in which user exists in a database, you're actually getting the constraints error in the database. Okay, so here is a simple way to check if a user exists. Okay, before you take or you collect user information and save in the database. Okay, we have seen here username. Okay, this is username we have, right? So guys, what we can do here, as I've told you, that we need to check if a user exists before we register a user. And we are actually going to say existing user, existing user. So this is the logic I was talking about. You actually need to check if a user exists. As you can see here, we actually collected a username here, and we actually tried to filter, okay, or select data from table, filter by username. So if a user exists, you will actually use a Flash. I actually I actually told you that Flash will actually send the message to a redirected page, so it will actually send a message in this register. Okay, so if because our nothing will happen. Okay, because our table does not have any data. Okay, but as we proceed, we will actually test our logic and see how perfect it is. So if let me show you something here. I am very sure that there is a message we can save the user. Okay, here we can save the user because the user is not existing. Okay, so here we can proceed. As I told you that once everything is perfect, we actually needed to here we have username. Okay, we initiate an object for a table user. Then after we put username as collected from a user submitted form. Here we actually save the password, which is hashed. Okay, by using this. Okay, and you can see here string password C script sort length is 16. After that, here we add a user, we commit, we make sure we actually we commit the changes. Then after, we are using a Flash to send a user a message that you have successfully registered, please log in. This is perfect. Okay, so let us try out to test this. Okay, I'm not so sure if our application is running. Okay, that's perfect. So let us register user test and the username test and the password test. Submit. Okay, we can't see any message here. What's happening? Let us check our table. Whew. Null. Okay, what's happening? I think this should be perfect, and here we need a comma, something like this. Okay, so there is a bracket closing this. Okay, there is a bracket. It actually starts here and ends here. Okay, so let us try out to see. Okay, request.form.get password. Let us delete the data from our table and let us try out to register once again. Save the changes. Okay, let us refresh the page. Let's say testy. Submit. Okay, let us refresh here. This is perfect, right? You can see there is user testy. Okay, and the logic I was telling you is we needed to check if user exists before registering. This is logic. Okay, so I think now is a perfect time to test for this logic. Username testy. Okay, you'll actually not see any message because of something like this. Okay, let us copy login from templates. Paste it here. Then after, inside the login, copy something from here. Okay, after form, count one div below form. Okay, after form you need to copy this. It's actually a div from here. This div, copy this. Open your register.html. So below a form here, put something like this. Then after, remove this. Remove this. Okay, once we refresh this page, I'm very sure you see the flash messages. Okay, let us once again try to register an existing user. Perfect, username already exists. Please choose a different username. This is perfect. Okay, we are done with one of a biggest functionality, which is user registration. Let's move on and implement user login, and we'll have very fun implementing user logout. Okay, let's go. So we actually need something here. After user registration, we can implement user login. Okay, and here we can say login login.html. So this is the logic. Once we have a root, the login will be available at the root slash login, okay, for this slash. It will be supporting two methods, which is post and get. And once a user, I mean, this browser usually submit with a get request. So once get, return the login page. So this browser usually send the request by using get, okay. So once I get request, return this, okay, which is login.html, and we have copied it here, okay. Nothing new compared to register, and I've actually given you description. What is being checked here is this is actual if session. This check the session. If the session is okay, you are logged in already, I'll still return this, okay. As normal as usual, the name should be username and the password should be password, right? And below the form there is a link to register, okay. So here we are on register. Let us refresh this. Okay, once you click here log in, this is perfect. You can see we are on login page. So it's pretty simple to create this login page. Let's go and implement the backend functionality, okay. Here, as normal as usual, the action for this form is slash. For the slash login, the method is post, okay. So if a normal request, okay, which is usually sent by browser, using get method return the form, else you need it to process, okay. We actually need a logic to process the login, of which will actually collect the username and will collect the password. Make sure this name matches with the name of the name in your form, okay. Name, username, and the password is the name for password. Input field is password, okay. So after that, we need something here. We need to check if a user exists, okay. Query a user, we need to copy this. So we should have something like this. As I told you that once you tell a user that this user name does not exist, you give a loophole for brute force, and the security wise is actually not advised. So what we are actually doing here, so once the request is not submitted by get method, you will actually collect username and the password from the form. After that, this is query to check if a user exists, okay. We select a user by username, So if a query, this means that if a user exists, will actually check the password in a returned by a query, which is a password fetched from a table, and the password is submitted, which is this one. Okay, so if everything is okay, we'll start a session here. Okay, then after we redirect a user in login. Okay, let's try out this functionality, and I know if the password will be correct. Let's first try by putting wrong password. Submit, you can see username/email or password is wrong, but once we put a correct username and a password, will yes, that's perfect. You can see, did you mean we don't have this view, okay, or we don't have this function? Let's just create this function. Okay, this will be the function where user who has successful, authenticated, will be redirected. Okay, so let us create this. By the way, we had this index. Okay, let us use this. Okay, so let us try to resubmit. You can see we are redirected here. Okay, but we actually don't need this. What we want, let us copy this index. Copy this index and delete this index. Okay, paste it here. Okay, let us see the content of index. Okay, so the content, this is actually the content of index. It actually check if the session is logged in. If the session is, it check the session. Okay, means check if a user is logged in and the session logged in is set, then return this page. Okay, so we are actually returning this navbar, and it has a link for user to log out. Else, if user has not been, if there is no session, user should be, we actually tell a user not to log in, and we give a user a link, or we display a user with a link to register and to log in. So now let us refresh. I hope this is perfect, right? You can see this is our page. Okay, it is pretty simple. But here we need to check the session, okay, in the backend before allowing a user to access this. So this is the concept, right? In the backend, we actually try to check if not session is set. Okay, means if we fail to get this session, please, this is a flash message, okay? And we'll redirect user to log in, that please log in first. I'll actually show you how this logic is built, okay? But I'm not so sure if we need this. We don't need the flash message, okay? So let us open this in incognito mode. So this means user is not logged in. So once okay, that's perfect. So we are done with creating the home page. Let us finalize our web application simple project, which is login, register, and log out in Flask by implementing logout. Logout is pretty simple. I can leave this as an assignment for you, but let's enjoy it together, okay? This is perfect, right? So this is simple logout. We actually set the session is equal to false, then after we redirect the user to log in once again. Let us learn this application, okay? So let us refresh This is perfect, right? When we click log out, you can see. Okay, and once we try out to access the home page, we can't because we have not logged in. So this actually sums up the end of this tutorial. I hope you have enjoyed. Put the comment below. What is your experience when dealing with authentication in Flask? Do you encrypt the password before storing them in the database? Do you check if a user exists before registering a user? And do you use session? There are a lot of questions, but what I would like is to put a comment below, share your experience, and on my spare time, I'll be enjoying reading your comment. So thank you so much. And before we close this session, let us try to test all the functionality. Okay, so we'll start by register. I'll put user foobar. I don't know why I'm in love with this name. Okay, so submit. This is perfect. You have successfully registered. Please log in, and once I refresh here, you can see there is a user foobar. Okay, and I'll actually put here foobar to log in. I am successful. Oh, what is happening? Username exists, please choose a different name. No worry. I don't know what's happening. So let us log in. Submit. We can log in. Okay. So here we can log out. This is perfect. So before I close up this session, let me thank you in nine different international language. Thank you so much. Asante sana. Muchas gracias. Muito obrigado. Merci beaucoup. Kamza Hamida Aita Danke Denawad. Thank you. Keep on watching. I hope to see you in the next tutorial.